So after I recorded this video, I realized that I was a bit of a bad yoga teacher because I didn't actually use the blocks in this one. So I just want to quickly show you where you can use your blocks if you have them and if it's something that you wish to do. Now, if it's a situation where you're good, just skip this part and move to the flow. And you'll see their sections. So in terms of your blocks, you can see I've got them on the side, not flat down. So when we come into a runner's lunge, you can have your hands here. When we come into a high runner's lunge, you may just want to keep your hands here as well, instead of coming up there. That's all good. When you're in a downward facing dog, I would probably recommend placing them down flat, hands on the blocks like so, downward facing dog. Now you can also use them in your standing forward fold. You may decide that you want your blocks and you want to be here. Exactly the same for the front, so you might choose to have them at the front too. So those are just some ways where you may want to bring in your blocks. And again, this is very much about just thinking about what is right for you. Where are you feeling it? Where do you feel that you may need support? I've got a bunch of tutorials on my YouTube channel as well, which takes you through some of the, I would say, foundational poses of yoga. So go through those as well, if that's something that you wish to do. So thank you so much for watching this quick backtrack. Hello and welcome to this video where I'm going to take you through a yoga flow to connect with yourself. I'm Danielle, a certified yoga teacher and Pilates instructor in training. So as we go through this, I'll provide modifications, variations that you can use to suit you and your body. As we go through, I want you to remember that this is all about feeling, exploring, and connecting with your body, nobody else's, because your body is unique, as is mine. And so what you'll need is a mat, because you're gonna need some grip. And then if you have blocks, use blocks. If not, all good. There's always alternative solutions. So we're gonna come into a tabletop position, so on the hands and knees. And you're just going to start to walk your hands out in front and start to shift your weight back into your heels. You can open at the thighs or you can keep them closed, completely up to you. Again, do what feels good for you. Forehead to the mat and just breathe. We're just going to warm up the body. From here, start to walk your hands over to the right side of your space and feeling where you may be feeling a stretch. For me, I can feel it in the left side of my body. Now you can keep both palms pressed into the ground, or you can bring your left palm on top of your right and just breathe here. If you can hear my breath a lot, it's because my mic is very close to my mouth and my nose. Okay, and bring yourself back to center. And we're going to repeat on the left side, on the other side. So yes, hands, palms on the ground on the left side of your mat. Again, that option to place your right palm on top of your left. And come back through to center. We're going to make our way back up onto our hands and knees, so tabletop position. Shoulders over wrists, hips hip distance apart, and feet on the mat. And what you're going to do here is just drop the belly, cow, round the spine, up, cat, And we're just going to keep on doing a few more rounds of cat-cow. So dropping the belly. Inhale. Exhale as you round the spine up, cat. And just continue at your own pace. You can close the eyes, you can keep them open, completely up to you. And there is another class that's being taught upstairs, so you might be able to hear that. Okay, one more. And then just come back into that tabletop position, neutral spine. Bring your navel up into your back. So basically you just want to engage your core at this point. And we're going to move into some balancing tabletop positions, also known as bird dog. So you're going to take your right palm, lift that off the ground and just raise it to your head, looking down at your mat. Now you can stay here or you can choose to place the toes on the mat beneath you, heel lifted. Another option, bring that left leg up in line with your hips, flex at the foot, toes pointing down to your mat. And just bring that arm and leg down. We're going to repeat on the other side. So left arm up, right leg lifted, flexed at the foot, left palm down, right leg down. A couple more rounds of these. Inhale to lift. Exhale as you come back down, engaging that core. One more. Left arm up, right leg up. Back into your tabletop position. From here, we are going to tuck the toes under, palms pressed into the ground, and we're going to lift the knees up and come into a downward facing dog. So heels don't have to touch the ground. Imagine yourself in an upside down L position. You can start to pedal at the feet, have a play around, looking between your legs. Breathe. I say breathe, I mean, you're going to breathe anyway. But I mean it from the viewpoint of try not to hold your breath. So as you can see, I'm just raising up on my toes because I'm having a bit of a play. And you can do the same based on whatever it is that you want to do on your end. Okay, so from here, look ahead between the hands and you're going to step your right foot forward to the front of your mat and step the left foot forward. And we're going to come into a forward fold. You can bend at the knees if you need to. Keep them straight if that's something that's an option for you. Do a little sway from side to side. And then we're going to come into a half forward fold. So hands on the shins or fingertips to the ground. Back down into that forward fold. And we're going to rise up. So bring your arms overhead into a mountain pose. And we're going to clasp our fingers together, palms facing upwards. And you can look up if you wish to do so or straight ahead. From here, breathe in. Exhale. Lean over to the right or your left. It doesn't matter what side you start with. Inhale back to center. Exhale, left side. Inhale back to center. And we're just gonna press the palms together for one moment. And we're gonna roll back down into that standing forward fold. Half forward fold, hands at the shins. Step back into a plank pose. Now you can be on your knees or you can do a full plank pose. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to drop my knees and then we're going to bend at the elbows, keeping them close to the body, coming down onto the stomach, hands by your ribs, elbows still pressed in, and rise up slightly into a baby cobra. So just a gentle bend of the back. Back down, come up onto the knees, tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward, right foot forward, standing forward fold, half forward fold, hands at the shins, fingertips to the ground, and just roll your way up into that mountain pose. Fingers together, palms up to the ceiling, the sky. Lean to the left, feel the stretch. Inhale back to center. Exhale, right side. Back to center. Clap the palms together. Roll down into standing forward fold. Half forward fold. Step the left foot back, right foot back. Plank or modified plank. Elbows together, coming down to your mat. This is an upward facing dog, or you can stay with your baby cobra, hands by the ribs. Upward facing dog is a more bigger back bend, and you've got your thighs, legs lifted off the ground. Then we're going to come back into that downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, lift the right leg, place it in between your hands, drop the left knee to the ground. For your right leg, ankle, knee over your ankle. If it doesn't, it's all good. Just feel and make sure that you're in a comfortable and safe position. Raise the arms overhead. And if you want, you can have a gentle back bend. So just bend back or stay here looking ahead. Take a few breaths here. Bring your hands back down to the mat, framing that right foot. Then from here, lift the left knee off the ground, and we're going to come into a runner's lunge. And from here, bring your hands off the ground so you're pressing into that right foot. Arms overhead into that high runner's lunge. From here, we're going to move into a warrior two. So left foot at a 90-degree angle. Arms come out into a T-shaped position. Your heels should be aligned. So right heel in alignment with your left heel at the back. Come down into that right leg. Look out them right fingertips. If that's too much, you can bring your palms in front of your chest. So warrior two here. And then we're going to do a reverse warrior. So left hand on your left shin, right arm overhead, reverse warrior, right elbow onto your right knee, left arm overhead, side angle, back up into that warrior two position. Bring your hands back down to the mat, spin onto the left toes, step back into a downward facing dog for a moment. Now, if you want to skip downward facing dog, you can come down into a child's pose. That's all good. From here, we're going to move back into a plank position, chaturanga, elbows in, come down, cobra pose. Remember, you've got that baby cobra, or you've got upward facing dog. Come back into a downward facing dog. And then we're going to lift the left leg up and bring it in between our hands. Right knee on the ground this time. Arms overhead. You've got the option to do that back bend or just continue to look ahead. Breathe. Hands down, framing that left foot. Lift the right knee off the ground into that runner's lunge and come up into a high lunge. And you can bounce, you can play around. Like, this is all about doing what's right for you, and consider yoga like a bit of a playground. So now we're going to do warrior two again on the other side. So right foot at a 90-degree angle, more or less in alignment, looking ahead at those left fingers. Again, play. And we're going to reverse it. So left palm, right palm on the right shin or on the thigh. Left arm overhead, looking up, looking down. Come back, side angle pose. What side are we on? Left elbow on the left knee, not on the knee joint, but just on the thigh. Up, looking up or down, arm overhead. Back into that warrior two pose. Frame the foot, spin onto those right toes. Step back into a downward facing dog. Or if you're looking for that relief, come back into that child's pose. I'm going to come back up. And then plank pose, modified plank, or just skip it. Come down onto your mat. Baby cobra. Lift up, come onto your knees, tuck the toes under, back to that downward facing dog. And we're going to do one more round, and I'm going to give you less instructions for this one. Right leg lifted, right leg in between hands, drop the left knee, arms overhead, bend or stay looking ahead. Frame the right foot, lift the knee up, runner's lunge. high lunge. Again, feel it out, have fun. Come into warrior two pose. Arms out into a T or in front of your chest. Right knee over right ankle. Reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Side angle pose. Back to warrior two. Frame that right foot. This time we're going to head straight down into plank. Elbows tucked in. Upward facing dog or baby cobra. Tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Lift the left leg in between palms. Drop the right knee, foot on the mat, arms overhead. Bend if you wish. Frame the left foot. Right knee off the ground, runner's lunge. Up into that high lunge. Warrior two pose. Reverse that warrior. Warrior two or straight into side angle. Warrior two. Spin on to the right toes. Step back, plank pose. Upward facing dog. And shift back into a child's pose. It doesn't look hot, but it is a hot day in London and I am roasting. Relaxing child's pose. And we're just gonna wind down. So come into an easy seat position. So you may choose to be on your knees. You may just come down onto your bum with your feet together like so. Sit however's comfortable to you. Your legs might be open, it's all good. So from here, right palm on the ground, left arm overhead. Bring it round. Left palm on the ground, right arm overhead. Roll back to the side. One more round on each side. And then from here, just bring your feet together and place your hands around your toes, or they might be at your ankles. Now you can stay here or here, or you can begin to fold over if that's something that feels right for you. Bound angle pose. Make your way back up and just come and lie on your back on your mat. So lying back, and from here bend at the knees, feet pressed into your mat, arms out into a T shape. And then just bring your knees to one side of your mat, and then your head to the opposite side. So I've got my legs to the right and my head facing the left. Spinal twist. Knees back to center. And just repeat on the other side. Knees back to center. And then just stretch your legs out. Bring your hands to your side, palms on the ground, or overhead for extra stretch if that feels right for you. And we're in corpse pose, Shavasana. Stay here for as long as you like, or feel free to stop at this point. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. I hope you found this yoga flow beneficial. Peace, light, and blessings to you.